not that you can carry that out to every kid across the system who has, individual needs, but, it can be done. And I think to the administration's credit, everything from, tutoring within the school day, before school, after school, all the things that's been tried and everything they're trying to do to take at-risk kids, bring them up, even from summer school program. Kids walking into the school system, 3, 2, 3 levels.
You're already reaching them here, and you have examples right here in Hoover.
But I think part of that is the further you go, the more insulated, this is not the right word, you get from hearing what's going on in the classrooms. That's what I have to do that a lot. I have to just get out and go into school sometimes because it always gets you back focused on the right road. And I think part of what we need to do here is probably share more of the stories with the board because they don't hear the stories enough.
Especially connected to your improvement plans, so that you can live. I mean, I will agree with your assessment here. Most boards are not knowledgeable enough about what it's going to take to change achievement in your system. That doesn't mean you tell administration what to do, but you're listening and you're monitoring which kids we're reaching and telling the stories, just like you did, Earl, about this school had this problem and here's what we've done to change that. You could do more of that.
Well, let me just say this on this one I've got, it's got the 3.8 down here and I gave it 2. This question and a lot of data-driven questions and goal-driven questions based upon data on subsequent pages pertains to the balanced scorecard, which is kind of the report card for the school district in every regard. And I don't think we've really, it's kind of lost some steam. It looks like I may be wrong because when I try to get on the website, I can't even get on it without password and username. That's another issue altogether. But that to me is the greatest template, particularly if you could ever take it to a school look. So all these questions here, you don't have to understand all the curriculum and instruction and all that. The data speaks it all. And, that's
but you have to know enough, and that's why I'm glad y'all were a little low on this. It's just an area that we're now learning that boards in high-achieving systems can describe which initiatives they're working on and which kids they expect to reach as a result of that. So you can do an even better job than you're already doing. So you're moving in the right direction in your whole governance structure here about what you're spending time on and what you're learning without micromanaging and telling the staff how to do it. Because you come to our conferences and you learn some pretty exciting things about what you want to see happen in the system. I'm convinced though that only the school board can take those pockets of excellence that you got going on and create an excellent system. And by having those kinds of deep, rich conversations and understanding what it's going to take, you can then reach even higher levels than you're already reaching. And I'm here because I know you're not completely satisfied. If you were, you wouldn't even be doing a self-evaluation. So you're still struggling with how can we reach more kids. And you're diving into some newer areas here for boards that we're learning you need to talk about and get your arms around in terms of student achievement. And focusing, and I'm so glad to hear you're spending more time focusing on the monitoring of your goals is another thing we'll look at. But board leadership and learning. The learning part is the new part. Just having these conversations, it's no longer reports to boards and decisions, right? What you need is engaging time to deep and talk about what are professional learning communities? Do we have them in our system? Why do we have them, right? I'm sure you probably do here. Having engaging conversations is board learning. So,
I think one of the things we can do, the summary design of the strategic process is wait until that balanced scorecard is completely done, and all that data comes in at different. Every single corner is finished, and because it's such a wide range of data points, and they come in at various points in the year. If we wait till that summer retreat, and that's the only time that we do that, then we've missed time to talk about these set of data points came in, and what do they mean, how they fit within our continuous improvement
too on the individual school scorecards would be helpful as well, because I suspect that data will demonstrate things are probably better than most people who are concerned, or expressing concerns, will think.
Well, and that's a very big part of our, when we divide up and we talk among administrators, we go over those individual cards by feeder zone, and so it's really a rich process, and we need to find a way to overlay that and help y'all see that too.
In the public too, probably.
Absolutely.
We actually, also could help you, boards need to talk about, you can help each other. What questions should we be asking when we look at this data? Because quite often, we're not even sure about that. And in terms of your goals, it's okay for the board to actually say yay or nay, these goals, these targets are high enough, or they're not. So you're not just looking at data, but you're actually leading changes as a result of the data. And
Well,
boards need to learn, that with a high level of trust like your team has, then it's okay to ask these questions, like, why are we so low in fifth grade math and middle school? You know, that's good
And
questions.
see, those discussions were outstanding from the outset of the balanced scorecard.
Right.
What questions on there, why were they on there, what did these mean? I mean, it's pretty awesome.
It's
It's a
very
great
helpful
tool.
for your board to know. And then asking your board, well, is this sufficient data? Was it presented in a way that you could understand it and analyze it? We know over time data is the best, so that you can see whether or not you're actually going up or down, as opposed to 1 year's worth of data. Because you can have an anomaly 1 year where you really, something did go down, and then you're, you know, starting to make all these adjustments, but when you look at the 5-year picture, you're going up. And you want to really keep focused on the change you're trying to see. With, and even better yet, when it comes to student achievement, more than once a year. And the board needs to know changes are occurring throughout the year. That's very helpful to you as a superintendent, to give the board that kind of reports, and for the board to be holding you accountable in a positive way, in a way that celebrates those successes when these folks have worked so hard to reach certain kids. You celebrate that. And when these folks worked hard and they didn't reach those kids, what are they going to do different? And you're willing to provide the kind of support to get there, because in Hoover, failure is not an option. And that's the attitude you want to have in a positive way that really is all about support for staff. So board leadership is critical here to reaching even higher levels for your kids. I just keep telling you, you're on the right track here with what we're seeing happen here, and there's a couple of areas that if you continue to work on understanding, teaching, and learning, it will help you. Does that make sense? Okay, personnel relations, we're just going to skip that one. However, I can't skip it, because if you looked at last time I was here, there was a lot of confusion around the board's role in staffing, and I can't compliment you enough for figuring out what's your role in staffing. And I remember you all having a point to the superintendent. Do you remember I asked that question, and they all pointed, everyone pointed, oh yeah, that's not our job, that's the superintendent's job. But it looks like you're all pretty clear on that, in terms of having good policies.
Let me say to that, though, on personnel. It certainly is his job, and we allow him to do it, expect him to do it. Nobody's hired until the board approves their hiring, and that's for a reason. And I think every one of us, we get the personnel report every month. We read everything that's in it. We study it, and if we know of any reason why something shouldn't be approved, we're on the telephone. And there's some things that maybe don't always, end up the way they start off, because people speak up if they know something or think something, they have a belief or raise a question. I think that's an important part. I think that's why we do take that action. That's why we're in that process.
Well, you're doing it well. And
Thank
again,
you. Yeah, I
keep
think we
that
do.
up.
We all do see that the same, it appears.